Welcome back to the GFG Podcast. This is the second episode. It's basically a continuation of our first episode, but we talked for a long time, so here we are. Thank you for tuning in and supporting us. I'd like to say that you should support us on YouTube. If you want some extra visuals, our YouTube channel has some extra visuals on it for you to look at while you listen. But yeah, we're going to get into today's episode, talk a little bit more about fashion. Realistically, we're talking a lot more about fashion. So stay tuned, keep listening, and thanks for your support.
It's true. But to go back, the clip where Andre Leon Talley, Porter asks him, is fashion art?
Oh,
he
yes.
immediately says no. And then she says, can you repeat the question for me? And he said, is fashion art? No.
Can you repeat my question? Is fashion art? No.
No, no, no.
No.
This man has no money.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just all came back to me.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that those two statements were put together in that sense.
Fashion is hard work, gritty, it's not glamorous. This man has no money. He's done a great collection with very few funds. He's been supported financially by various businesses. This man has no money.
Of like, it's fashion art, and it's like, no, of course not. And then talking about how he has no money and he created this with a lot of hard work, and fashion is not glamorous and glitzy, and it's a job. Yeah. And it's an industry, and it's blood, sweat, and tears for a lot of people. I think though that the question is really interesting because I found that almost every designer that I really look up to and respect, if you were to pose that question to them or if you were to look through their interviews and ask, is fashion art, it's almost a unanimous no. Mm-hmm. And I have come to my own understanding that is in a way in agreement and in a way not super aligned, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think.
I mentioned this to one of my friends who also likes fashion, and he was like, yeah, I can see how that could be true for someone like Prada, but what about like Rei Kawakubo and Comme des Garçons? Like, that's a whole different type of clothing,
but Dover Street Market.
That's true.
I'm not talking about Dover Street Market is the most successful retail innovation or concept, and that's her brainchild.
It's true.
Yeah.
So how are you going to argue she's a pure artist?
I think it's a little bit different too because of like her approach to like shows versus approach to like selling. Like
Do you think they're two separate things in her mind, though? Like, do you think she has, like, a business mind and a Dover Street Market mind and, like, a fashion mind that's a whole different thing?
I think you can, but I think I'm also basing this based on, like, other designers talking about it, but because I'm not honestly super aware of what she's said. I don't know if she's said much about...
She doesn't really talk.
Yeah.
Rei Kawakubo?
She does, but she doesn't talk directly. She talks through her husband who translates everything.
I guess.
And she can be kind of like... Yeah. Like, she could just be kind of like, okay, like...
But she's not doing, like, press tours in the way that other people are. And, like, from my understanding... I used to be very into her. And, like, from my understanding of her and her business is that, like, her business partner, her husband, like, does a lot of the business side.
Yeah, he's more on the
business.
And
she's more creating pure ideas. But I think that, like, she's not a pure artist when the mediums expand to sneakers and retail stores and experiential concepts and fragrances and, like, all, like, it gets to a point. And I think that an important line to draw in the sand when you're talking about, like, what's selling versus, like, runway is that fashion can be, like the difference between fashion being conceptual and artistic. Yeah. There is conceptual fashion that is extremely sellable. Like,
Yeah.
everything Rick Owens designs
It's so true.
is conceptual, and he sells that shit.
Yeah.
So, like...
And people are buying into the concept.
And he's
Yeah.
good with, like, business. Like,
And he's good with business.
Since the beginning.
He's... Exactly, like he's making
But
money.
I don't think he even thinks of himself as an artist.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think he's ever
I
said
mean, he's
anything.
one of the people that I'm thinking of who would be kind of like...
Yeah, like on the fence. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly think of it as like there's a Venn diagram of clothing and fashion, and then like art, and there can be overlap in it. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't make one thing exclusive. Like they're mutually exclusive, and it doesn't. When you combine them, it does not make one thing another thing. You know, like art can have its space in fashion.
Right.
And fashion can have its space in art. I think if you approach art in a fashion lens, then sure, it's art. But that kind of stuff is the stuff that you see like I'm not even going to say you see it in museums, because I feel like museums have clothes. They have straight up clothes.
I think it's reminding me of the fact, so I majored in photography, and that's also a common question, is like photography art? In my opinion, no. And very similarly, like art can have a place in photography, but it's inherently a method of documenting an image. So it doesn't, not all photos are art, you know. And then it's similar to architecture too, because, you know, you're not just designing for the sake of it. People are using the buildings, entering the buildings. Yeah. So I think it has to do with utility. It has to do with like business. And I think that's what ultimately keeps it separate from art in my mind. Like it can be an aspect, but...
Because I think if you're doing fashion as art, you're making one-off pieces. You're making like stuff that doesn't really go anywhere. You're not trying to sell. You're losing money. If you think about the structure of it, like the fashion as art is like typically like the haute couture and stuff like that, and that doesn't make these brands money. They have to sell everything else. Like Comme des Garçons, like you can't buy those show pieces really. Like you might be able to buy some aspect of it. They don't sell that. It's the same with Thom Browne. Like Thom Browne doesn't sell these crazy show pieces, and it's the most boring. I mean, that's like an extreme, but it's the most boring stuff that you see in the stores. But you know, these shows can be very artfully done, and I think because I was thinking about it in the shower actually. I was thinking about this question, but I think like styling can be in a way artistic, or hair and makeup. Like there's a lot of terms that go into fashion that have to do with art, but at the end of the day, they're skills. And like the art of sewing or the art of whatever you do in like the physical aspect of fashion, we attribute it to like art, but at the end of the day, like this is all like skill-based work that comes
art
together.
Is skill-based also, but
It's true. I'm a rothko, not a hater, but I'm gonna say like
have you seen it in person?
I have.
Every time someone says that shit, I'm like, all right,
God,
so we're
that's
going
funny.
to go see some together because you gotta sit with
There's a bit of skill, and there definitely is something. And Rothko is one where there's definitely a debate, but there's some things even like, I mean, people want to say like Jackson Pollock, like whatever. Like there's definitely
okay, fuck that hoe, but
no. You can argue that they have different skills. Like yes, there's you know like the skill of execution, but to have an eye and to still execute the eye and even execute something conceptual, I think that's a skill. Yeah. You know? So I guess
it's more of a question of what is art, and that's a really big question that's not
We're not going to cover that.
I mean, I don't have the capacity for that right now.
Oh, but I did want to mention before we move on, it reminds me of the loewe pieces where it was ceramic. Remember those ceramic sweaters?
Yes, that was J.W. Anderson.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Thank you for fact checking.
Yeah. You're going to
They have the same designer, so yeah,
okay, I got confused. You know, people would be like, wow, like that's like art or whatever, but actually it served as like a really great marketing tool because that went viral, and they're like, oh my God, who is this designer? And then, you know.
Yeah. I think of it, speaking of
it served a purpose.
Yeah, like those like steel and copper jackets he did for the menswear show for loewe like a year and a half ago or something. Those were more to highlight skilled work than they were art, but people see it as art. Like that, no, it was like to make something out of something unconventional.
Yeah.
And again, this is a question of, what is art? Because, like, I think of it as like almost like dadaism, which, I'm so over hearing about dadaism. Like, snooze. I'm in this, like, I'm tired of irony, and I dress ironic sometimes. I do things out of irony, but I'm so tired of, like, irony being lauded as the most artistic and creative thing you can do. I'm bored of it. Like, creativity and art are not equated, in my opinion.
I'm pretty sure there's a clip of Alexander McQueen actually saying he doesn't like irony.
Sincerity or sincerity?
It's the romantic.
I was actually going to bring up McQueen, because I was going to say, like, McQueen, we laud him as one of the best designers, and it's like, he was an amazing tailor. Like, he learned his craft, and he was able to bring a perspective into craft, but I don't think that he made art.
I agree completely.
Also, I just think, like, when you look at his shows, you can look at his pieces and it's like, wow, that's a beautiful piece of clothing. You don't look at that as, some things, but it's like showpieces, I think of Voss, there's that big, like, headpiece that has, anyways. But, like, there's stuff, it's like, like, this was created for, like, a sake of showing and having basically a marketing opportunity through, like, this amazing show and this experience. And I think that's also a thing, is people love to think about fashion simply in a fashion show aspect, but, like, if you take those pieces out of the show, what are they? It's clothes. And they're not these amazing pieces of art, and that's why you see, like, like, amazing stylists or amazing people who went into, like, this show production. That's where I think you can kind of get into the thing of, like, is this production art? I think that's a slightly different question that I would say, well, yes, like, this could be almost like performance art.
But clothes themselves.
Isn't that just entertainment, though?
Yeah.
Because I also think that entertainment is something different than performance art necessarily.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, like,
I think
to make it
some fashion
easy,
stuff runs
like,
that.
I don't know, like a Marvel movie is not cinema.
Oh my god, that's for a different pod.
Yeah.
No, I know, but a fashion show is...
It's a spectacle. It's not.
What is that
it's not
one
performance
brand that always wants to do some shit? They had the people, like, throwing food at models.
Oh, Ava.
I'm so sorry. I'm
Like,
tired.
it's heavily gimmicked.
I'm
stuff is
so
crazy.
tired of that, because it's like, the thing that I appreciate about McQueen is that you don't even have to care if it's art or not or whatever, and I don't really think that he was thinking about that all the time. I don't know, but...
Because I think of, like, when I think of McQueen, when I think of McQueen in the most artistic way, realistically, I think of the, like, 2004 show, I think it is. It's the one where it's, like, they're all dancing. To me, that was more of a performance. I still wouldn't call it, like, necessarily art. It's performance. It was a dance. It's so heavily grounded in fashion.
Yeah.
And it's so...
Because it's attached to a brand at the end of the day.
and it's not even, like... to me, it's not even that. It's like, even if you just made clothes and did something with them, it's so heavily, like, in the territory of clothing and fashion that, like, it can only be so much in the territory of art. And I was going to say, did you bring up Prada already in terms of this conversation?
I always am bringing up Prada.
Oh, yeah, but famously, like, Miuccia Prada does not. She's very much, like, resisted the idea of fashion being art. And what she does, she thinks it's purely commerce.
And she also has... Smart. It's really interesting. I read this, like, profile. I think it's, like, a year old at this point, but where she's mostly just talking about the Foundation, the Prada Foundation.
Fondazione.
Fondazione.
No Italians.
Yeah, we're not Italian, we're trying, but, like, she has this whole cultural institution that has a lot of cachet and influence, like, in Italy, and I just find that so interesting. Like, she's really reinforcing that distinction, and I respect a woman that stands by it, and, like...
Because she's very clear that she loves art. She loves to learn, she loves history, she loves all this other stuff, but she is very clear that it's a separate thing from what she does. I think it can inform. Obviously, like, that's not anything else. It definitely can inform what you do in fashion and how you approach fashion and the ideas you bring to fashion. But I think that's kind of where it stops.
I think people don't realize that not everything has to be art, and to like maybe the ordinary eye, they can see something with colors or see something creative and go like, oh, that's art. But it doesn't have to be. I mean, fashion serves like a whole other purpose that can be equally meaningful and important. Like with Prada's most recent collection, like I could tell that they were designing for, in my mind, like a woman like me. And I found that incredibly inspiring. And so people have to understand, like, even if fashion isn't art, it still plays like an incredibly important role in our day-to-day lives.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, it has more immediate importance than art, arguably. Like, in terms of the fact that everyone has to participate in fashion in some form every day. Like, you can be completely naked.
Yeah.
I think that you can do almost anything to your body now, like body modification, tattoo, like whatever. But you can't be completely butt-ass naked unless you're in a nudist colony. So, like, everyone's mandated to participate in some way, and, like, it's serving a purpose. And that's not even getting into the entire economy that's supporting people's livelihoods, skills, that's referencing culture. I mean, I think I'm extremely biased, but to me, fashion is like, fashion allows you to be everything in a way. And I think that is where I get a lot of, like, understanding of the different, like, interdisciplinary connections to it. And I think that, like, what you were saying about, like, art informing fashion and, like, how it's all related, but it doesn't have to be the same thing.
Yeah.
I think it's, these, like, ideas are kind of close to each other, I guess.
Yeah. Quickly before we move on, Jem has the Schiaparelli and Prada conversation, whatever is it?
Impossible Conversations.
From the Met in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, or 2009, 2011.
We can check it. It was
somewhere
good,
around
though.
there.
It was good.
Anyways, it was like, to me, it's like Elsa Schiaparelli famously did collaborations with Dali. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Salvador Dali, and created clothes based on kind of his art. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's kind of like a perfect representation. And Prada has also worked with artists for her own clothing and stuff.
Yves Saint Laurent, Mondrian dress.
So many have.
There's so much stuff that we can, like, rattle off.
Yeah, like, art and fashion are very intertwined, but you could also say music and fashion are very intertwined. I think
film and fashion.
Creativity is always going to be intertwined, but like, you could say literally anything, but does that make fashion food? Does that make art food?
It's so true.
Like, does taking a picture of your food, like, does that make it food art? No. It's it's a different thing. Like,
The food stylists really do fascinate me. I don't know if you guys
I
I
think
love-
that'd be crazy.
yeah.
I would love that.
I love
Like,
seeing.
I think my cousin needs to become a food stylist.
Exactly.
If you're listening,
Yeah, it's
Zach,
really
if you're
cool.
listening, please
Yeah.
become a food stylist or some
Yeah,
shit.
that reminds me of like the Irving Penn photos of food, but
There was a recent, like last year, because I have the magazine, but I don't remember what magazine it was. That they did jewelry not jewelry. It was a jewelry editorial, but it was on like random things of food. I'll just send you. I'll figure it out.
that sounds very familiar.
Yeah, it wasn't like,
Who photographed it?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not giving
okay.
any information here.
Audio listeners, the shoot was called Treasure Hunt, and it was photographed by Chris Rhodes.
Before we move on, just because if we were to save this for a different time, it wouldn't be as relevant. I would like to know both of your thoughts on Galliano. I want to also know how you guys feel about how that might have been like the secret real theme of the Met Gala.
I want to go
Those were my
first on this one because I
Okay.
can be quick.
Okay.
I just need to know who paid for that documentary. And I know it's like, who paid for that documentary and why is it Bernard Arnault? Like, come on. It's just like,
They needed their press tour. Come on.
A whole press tour for this guy, and it's just
it is like weird the timing with it because
the timing is
like,
very
suspicious.
suspicious.
We had that insane collection, and like everyone's talking about Galliano now.
Yeah.
We all know that he's at Margiela. Like I feel like before this season, we really were like, okay, yeah, Galliano's at Margiela, but who's checking for him? Like, I will say not just the past Toko tour, but the season before that. I guess the spring 24 collection, because people were like, oh, like the models are kind of selling it, and so the conversation of Galliano being at Margiela was like a thing again because there was started to be the kind of theatrics on the runway again, and I don't think that's a bad thing, but that collection was more Margiela than anything. In my opinion. The headwear for that collection was actually a direct Galliano reference, which I clocked, but we're not getting to that.
So you think that there's kind of like a puppet master making him appear more relevant?
Yeah, I think in a way, and like maybe he is like, I think that Galliano is more than in on it. In a sense, like I don't think that it's just like someone is like, you know, snapping their fingers and putting him at the top. But I do find it interesting that it seems everyone is so hungry for a figurehead, and it makes me question, like, what is that figurehead standing for?
Yeah.
You know, it's not even like he's at an English house. If he was at, like, Burberry, maybe I'd be like, okay, British fashion, go. But he's at Margiela, which
seems like the weirdest.
To me, doesn't make sense because I really liked Margiela and like, I don't know, the match there, just I don't totally understand that because I get the theatric aspect and I get there's almost a sort of like glamorous sense of humor that I find in both of their work, but in terms of like visuals and aesthetics, anything that is Galliano that I think is probably his best work is not something that you could ever imagine being adapted into this sort of like irreverent Margiela undone look where it's amazing because it's like a little bit busted or it's a little, you know, exquisitely busted.
I think he's...
then exquisite Galliano is exquisitely just like polished, elegant, sexy,
absolutely
clean,
fabulous,
slinky, like, I don't know, fabulous, So
he
don't
kind
get
of embodies like glamour, ultimate glamour from all time periods to me.
Yeah.
Where Margiela almost feels like he's not checking for glamour. Mm-hmm. What's that?
Yeah.
Like maybe here and there.
Yeah.
As a thought exercise almost, but
yeah,
I'm honestly not like crazy knowledgeable on Margiela. Like during his time, I do know some stuff. If you haven't seen his documentary, it's also good. Margiela in His Own Words, I think it's called.
Yeah.
That one was
I like
good.
Cried.
I need to watch
I
it
feel
again.
like you're a closet Margiela hater, which is
me?
Which is okay. That's my sense.
No, I have really enjoyed. I think I used to be like not understanding of it at all.
Yeah.
I actually, it's funny. In the past couple of years, I've learned to really enjoy it. I want to get into it and really like deep dive into it, but I need the energy because I need to deep dive into it.
But
and
I
need to know like everything. I
do feel like with me, like my understanding of Margiela, I actually initially hated it, and that because it's just like I don't know, I
think he's super realistic.
Yeah, I think it's also polarizing.
I think his almost like hyper realism. Is to me it's like it's admirable.
Yeah.
But I think that's a new thing for myself to appreciate like this very realistic view of life and the world.
I think it like meets the moment for sure. I mean, like if you want to talk about like capitalist realism, shout out Mark Fisher, who is just like he's like this theorist who like talks about how like hyper real states of, you know, culture and almost like a brutal, cruel sense of reality.
Yeah.
And so I think Margiela really like meets that. But I also feel like to get it, you have to kind of go in a circle where like at some point you don't like it, at some point you like it and you're insecure that you don't get it, then you stop giving a fuck, and then after that you really get it with the sense of immediacy of like you're standing in front of a painting, you're standing in front of a rothko and you're absorbing the color.
Please.
Same friend I was talking to earlier, he was talking about how much he loved the new direction of Burberry, which is like a very controversial take, and he was like, I don't know, as long as like, yes, even if someone is doing something completely new at a house, like maybe that's fine, like maybe, you know, they have to go into a completely new direction sometimes, which I have a feeling I know what your opinions are about Galliano at Margiela.
Yeah,
but
Galliano.
Yeah.
But I was going to say for Burberry, I'm like, Burberry doesn't have too much visual history.
Yeah.
Like, they had the same director for a long time, and then they had Riccardo Tisci. But I'm like, if you don't have that much to work with, I feel like you can kind of go anywhere with that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I feel like there's, like, huge... Not that I think Daniel Lee's doing it super, like... I don't mind Burberry right now, I will say. It's, like, decent, but... To me, it's, like, a boring British house. Like, it's...
Yeah.
It's not gonna get super crazy. I think Christopher Bailey was good there back when he was there.
I don't even, like, I'm not the British fashion person necessarily, but I actually did, like, a huge research project on Burberry once. And based on that, I think that would be one of, like, the best houses to be at as a designer.
Because you kind of had anything to do.
Yeah, I mean, what are they going to tell you?
Yeah, it's
and
like
also,
with Louis
like,
Vuitton, almost like
yeah.
when Nicolas Ghesquière started,
Yeah.
or like Marc Jacobs too.
Yeah.
Like you could kind of go anywhere as long as it's up.
Yeah, like the potential there is very, because you have iconic silhouettes. Like you only need a few motifs. You got the plaid, you got that tan color, you got the trench coat, you got some navy. Like, you have all the ingredients to really subvert and go crazy.
Yeah.
I would, one person I would love to see at Burberry, I don't think it'll ever happen. I don't know if this is the right way to pronounce her name, but Chitose Abe from Sacai.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce her name?
I think it's Chitose Abe.
Chitose Abe.
Sorry, I'm Japanese. I'll be the Japanese fact
Perfect. I think she would be amazing at Burberry.
I agree.
Like, think of, like, all the sort of, like, subversive tailoring and, like, the really interesting silhouettes. And I think she already does go with that palette. Like,
yeah, I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that would be, like,
I think...
Great.
Sorry. I think Kid has a piece of food. Sorry. No, but I think... I think Chitose Abe could make very modern clothes for Burberry.
Because I was gonna ask, but I'm like, I don't know who knows the numbers here. But I was gonna say, I don't know if Sacai like sells really well, but it seems like they are doing decently.
I know that. Funny enough, the first time I've ever heard of Sacai was actually a Nike collaboration that they did a really long time ago.
Yeah.
And those. I know the exact sneaker, but that sold really, really well. So I think, I don't know. I
feel like
kind of relevant.
They're relevant, but I just don't know how well they sell.
Yeah, that's true.
But I
think the people who know
sell. Yeah, I mean, then they even had like the Carhartt collab like last year and a half ago. Like they've done like bigger stuff. I just don't know specifically with their line. But a lot of people know about Sacai, and they're also sold through like Dover Street Market.
Yeah.
So that always helps.
I feel like they definitely do
She has
some
a space.
Yeah, they do numbers
space.
because they're in Bergdorf's, they're in Nordstrom. Like
they're everywhere.
You're not putting in those orders for nothing. I mean, she is a like Comme des Garçons alum.
Too.
So
yeah,
you know, she has that behind her. I feel like it's one of those things where like I feel like in the way that people think that people are buying Le Mer. People are actually buying Sacai.
That's so real.
Like, just think about, like, how much you see it. Like, come on. Like, I feel like that there's that, like, sort of, like, low-key woman who's, like...
Because it's cool, but there's a lot of, like... There's a lot of just, like, normal pieces there.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of, like, just different enough pieces.
Yeah. That's what I like about Sacai.
Yeah, it's like it's not like a if you know you know, but it's a little bit of if you know you know, but it's more of like the visual if you know you know, not like a branding thing. Like, I don't care if your sweater is the row, it's boring. Like, but this Sacai thing you can kind of see and like understand. Oh, there's something different there. I don't know what it is, but there's something different there. You have to know how clothes work and what they should look like.
Right. I'd imagine the craftsmanship is there too.
Yeah. I've heard about their quality.
Know.
You don't know?
I actually have no idea, and that's the most suspicious thing about it for me, is that I don't own any of it, and I've never, like, almost bought it. I don't see it places, like, for resale, but maybe that's because people hold on to it. Like, maybe it's good.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's what that means. No?
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. I don't see it in secondhand shops. I only see it in retail.
And I have checked it out, like, in retail stores, but not to a degree in which I could really
They have a pretty, like, decent section in Saks.
Yeah.
Like, it's, like, a pretty decent area.
Yeah.
Like,
they have good setups.
yeah, it's like the same size as, like, Rick Owens, almost.
I feel like their merchandising is really good.
Yeah, it's almost in, like, a trunk in Saks.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with it in Saks because that's where I've seen it the
yeah.
most, honestly, but it's kind of in these, like, wood trunk type situation where it, like, looks cool. It's visually, like, impactful.
Yeah.
You can kind of go over there and you're like, oh, like, it looks like a collection of clothes. It doesn't just look like a rack.
Yeah.
Like, it almost looks like somebody, like, has their personal collection of clothes there.
I mean, I think it's merchandise. It's like the visual merchandising is the same way in, like, the Nordstrom New York location. But I think that beyond just, like, the visual styling, like, the furniture, like, whatever it looks like, I think that, like the selection is good. Like, there's, like, different sizes, and there's, like, basic pieces, dresses. Like, there's a good mix of things. But anyways, I don't even know how we got to Sacai from this. Oh, we're talking about Burberry.
Yeah.
But I wanted to steer backwards.
Okay.
And ask you, Fumi, what you thought of Galliano Met Gala.
Well, from what you guys were talking about, it seems like strings were pulled to make it.
I'm not
conspiracy theorist now.
insider knowledge. Like,
This
I'm
is
not
actually-
a tinfoil hat.
No, we are tinfoil hats, but
We're a little
actually,
bit.
we're even better than the tinfoil hats because wasn't that literally confirmed that that was the
Yeah, like, there's been multiple sources that confirmed that.
Yeah.
I haven't read the articles.
Yeah.
I'll be so real. I haven't read the articles.
Confirmed what?
That it was, like, supposed to be Galliano.
Oh,
focused.
yeah. No,
And
it's
then we
pretty
saw
much
Ariana.
like...
They're all behind paywalls. Sorry.
I have that institutional access.
Yeah.
Real. That's so real.
I mean, the Met Gala in general, yeah, it does feel like a really beautiful, well done, somewhat conceptual commercial for a lot of designers. And then Garrett made a really good point about how there wasn't a big variety of designers this year.
Yeah.
So much of it was Thom Browne, and then so much of it was like Margiela. It was like the same people. So that was kind of a letdown.
Thom Browne is like the chairman of the CFDA. Like, he's got to show out.
And it's
Yeah.
also his partner is also Andrew
Oh,
Bolton.
yeah.
Or is it not Andrew Bolton, the other guy? Hamish Bowles?
No, it's Andrew Bolton.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who is Hamish Bowles? Who the hell is that? He looks the same. They look like the same person.
Really?
We'll find out who this is.
Maybe
Hamish
it's a
Bowles and
Jekyll
Andrew
Hyde
Bolton.
situation.
Both involved in, like, Vogue, or have been. Anyways, Andrew Bolton.
Andrew Bolton is the
He's the
at the Met.
Costume Institute.
I just wanted to
he's
say,
in.
not as important about what you guys are talking about. Unfortunately, my favorite Met Gala look was Rebecca Ferguson's Thom Browne look, and I think it was really, really good.
It was good, yeah.
It was
the thing
favorite.
is,
but what were your favorites, if you guys have favorites?
So, if anybody has heard me talk about the Met Gala, they know I'm not typically a Thom Browne lover.
Yes, and I wanted to ask you about that.
I'm typically very bored of Thom Browne. I'm like, we've
dress
seen
was
it, we've
so
seen it,
good.
we've seen it.
The dress and the coat.
But this year, Thom Browne kind of ate.
Yeah.
They were much more, I don't know if this is a word, but varietous. Like the designs themselves were a bit more diverse. Like the Thom Browne looks didn't look like a Thom Browne look.
Where it's like the suit and the
it
sock.
wasn't like, oh wow, like we have seen this 1,000 times before. Like Gigi Hadid, I
didn't know that Gigi's was Thom Browne for the longest
you didn't
time.
have to know.
And then I didn't know that like that jacket. It was like a jacket around her skirt, and it was pretty subtle, actually.
And like I think it's because I saw it without that whole piece first.
Oh, okay.
Because that part was separate. The bottom part was like separate, so it was a separate like whole skirt that attached, and then there was just the dress underneath. Hers was great. Queen Latifah's was Thom Browne. I didn't like the like opera cape she had on.
Neither.
To be so real.
It didn't match her dress.
But the dress was gorgeous. I just thought the dress looked really nice. It looked really it just was really well done.
I don't really remember it.
But yeah, Rebecca Ferguson's was great. Her dress was really cool. Dress / cape / coat thing was also really great.
It was the black one with like the flowers, the flowers of paradise. I don't know.
It just had like one kind of going up the top.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Birds of Paradise is what it's called.
Yeah, and I have a picture of Andrew Bolton, and then look at the other tab to the right. Anyways.
I bet somebody told someone on the team, like...
They do not look the same.
They're just, like...
But they got
upper
the
middle-aged white men. Sorry. With, like, kind of the same hair-ish. But
barely.
It's just because...
they're white and they have glasses.
Yeah. It's because have you ever seen them two in the room together? No, they just kind of... I've never, like... been able to differentiate. They're also both British, so like that doesn't help either.
Yeah, all British people do look the same.
It's like the accent. They kind of like have the similar look, and then like they've both been in like Vogue videos. So I'm just like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Anyways, and I feel like Hamish Bowles was in a Met Gala video at one point, so that's why I'm like, who is this? I'm trying to think of other looks that I really like. Oh, I really like Charli XCX, but not just because I'm a stan, but because I really liked her Marnie look. Made of like old t-shirts.
Jem, do you want to add to this comment about the Charli XCX dress?
Is that the one with all the holes in it?
Yes.
Fuck that.
I knew that Jem didn't like it. We were talking about it as we were watching it.
It's just like it's giving I didn't have time and like I just hacked at this. Like
really?
I like the idea actually. Same with same with Doja Cat too. Like nothing wrong with the whole white t-shirt concept.
But the execution was a little...
But yeah, the execution is just like there was no structure in it. Like the construction didn't look great. Like the seams. And I think that there's ways to make white jersey look beautiful and flowing and elegant.
True.
Like look
at
a missed
opportunity.
Like Halston in the 60s, 70s. Like that stuff is sexy. Or even like some of the stuff from like the Karl Lagerfeld exhibit, like when he was at Chloe. Like there is some good stuff you could have done if you wanted to do cotton t-shirt jersey spin.
Yeah. And
you did this thing that looks like it got destroyed by moths.
I think part of it was like...
I guess that's like it. What it's supposed
but
to be.
She wasn't the worst dressed.
She was not the worst dressed.
We know who the worst dressed is.
Who's gonna say it?
We can say it
because it's unanimous.
Girl, we know.
The belt.
Okay.
Oh. I forgot about this look.
No,
to me, it's like that was not at the Met Gala.
No, she went to the Met Gala.
That was at her ladies' luncheon. Like,
but how did nobody stop her?
Oh, but we didn't say who it is. Zoe Saldana and Chloe.
Yes, I thought it'd be funny if we did a 3-2-1, but it's okay.
Oh, well, we were getting off of it.
Yeah.
But Zoe Saldana, girl, you looked fine.
Yeah, fine if she was running an errand.
Yeah,
but
to pick up your kids.
Chloe belt and those leather boots,
The Chloe people did not eat.
No, they didn't. Oh, they looked like the Hamish sisters, but there were 5 of them.
Yeah, the Hamish sisters and their mom, maybe.
Is the mom Greta Gerwig?
Yeah. And then their other friend. I don't know. Taylor Swift. She showed up, I guess.
Okay. And because we're continuing now, I don't feel any pressure to stop.
Yeah. We might as well just go.
Yeah, because now we get to talk about Zendaya, maybe.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah, speak on it.
Well, okay, before I go into whatever I go into, how do you guys feel about her Met Gala look and her Met Gala looks every year? And then maybe we'll go into the thing that we originally wanted to talk about regarding Zendaya, but I don't know, it's up to you guys.
Her Met Gala looks throughout the years, they've been, like, overall good. I think we had less of an expectation on her for most of those years, too, so it's like...
She exceeded our expectations each time.
Yeah, like, she could just look good. I will say her 2018 look, actually... There's been so much drama about people tagging that designer wrong, so I don't even know who the fucking designer is, but
Which dress is that?
The chainmail one.
Oh, Joan of Arc.
Yeah, the Joan of Arc dress. That was her 2018 one. I just think it was good. I think it was, like, a part of the theme. I think that year was a good...
What was the controversy?
A bunch of publications, including Vogue France, tagged the designer wrong. So they said it was Jean Paul Gaultier. They said, but I think it was Versace, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong. But there's been multiple different publications that put the designer wrong on that, and they're like,
that's weird.
But it's like recently. Like there's been like a resurgence of coverage on that happening. I don't know. I've seen it a couple times lately, so I literally don't remember like who actually designed that dress and who she's actually wearing. But I think she looked good there. I hated her camp one. It was so awful.
Again, remind me, was that the yellow dress?
No, it's the one where she dressed up like Cinderella.
Oh,
and it was like it lit up. It was so ugly. I'm sorry.
No.
I hated that. I don't care how campy you thought it was.
I think most people would agree
that there
with
was
you.
a performance like that.
That has to be her worst.
It was awful. It
shouldn't really count towards her.
Like the only thing was like,
record.
oh, she left the shoe on the carpet. Girl, I did not ask you to be a Disney princess. We wanted you to give camp.
Yeah.
I mean, it is hilarious as a reference, though. Like her being like a Disney kid.
Yeah, but she
was
still so heavily in the Disney thing. That was before Euphoria even came out. Like, she was still Casey Undercover at that point.
Oh my God. No,
because she would not have been invited to the Met Gala.
No,
she was Casey Undercover.
She had been at the Met Gala for years during that time. When
you
she was
don't
still
get invited to the Met Gala.
I don't think she was in Disney when she was dressed as Cinderella, because that would be pretty.
I'm looking it up.
Okay, look it up.
Yeah.
Check her.
I mean, I feel like her.
You guys are right. The last
steadily
episode
gotten
was
better.
2018.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was 2019.
2019. It was a wrap.
That was a lot closer.
There was
than
only
I thought.
a year in between.
I didn't know that actually.
But she was still like kind of a Disney girl at that point.
Yeah.
Technically.
Maybe that's why it's
camp. Does that make it better or worse? Like, does that make that more camp if she was a Disney girl and then she dressed as a Disney princess?
You know what? I don't give a fuck.
I was like,
no, I'm just kidding.
No, it's true.
I don't care because it was ugly and it was horrible and it didn't look good, interesting. It didn't look good. It was just the camp. I was talking to Fumi about this. The camp theme, I think, was a really bullshit like execution of a theme because it was supposed to be like this certain kind of celebration and it was people kind of just creating a costume party and like an ugly one, and it feels very derivative of like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I was gonna say like about that theme, like something about it, like honestly, making the Met Gala theme camp when you know full well who the guest list is, what people are gonna wear. It's like it's like a hate crime against the gays.
It literally
like, there's no way. There's no way that was gonna be.
People were like living for it in the moment, and it was like, girl, this is not good.
I just can't stop. I'll never stop thinking about the Taylor Swift or who was it? Carly Kloss.
Carly Kloss, yeah.
Carly Kloss looking camp, right?
Right at the eyes, truly. Like that was so
And her
funny.
look.
It was so bad.
Wait, what was it? I can't remember.
It was.
It doesn't even matter. It was so.
It was Gucci by Dapper Dan.
Oh, it was gold and it had the black sleeves.
Yes.
I remember.
Big poofy sleeves.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but the Dapper Dan looks for Gucci that year were bad.
It's okay. Someone has to say it.
Ashley. She was one of the hosts this year. Ashley
Graham?
Ashley Graham. She wore a Gucci look that year and it was so bad. So bad. Like horrid. Anyways. Yeah, the camp year could have been really great, but it ended up just being like let's just be ridiculous. Let's be as crazy and kooky as we want. Girl, that's not what the theme is.
Yeah, that's true.
There were some people who did it very well, I will say. There were some people.
Like who? Any names?
I'm going to give it to her, but Kim K.
Okay,
This is the
that
only...
dress was Terry.
It was
Okay.
Mugler. Yeah,
Okay,
it was
I thought
Thierry
so.
Mugler. It was Mugler by Thierry Mugler. Well, I guess it was Thierry Mugler. Anyway, let me shut up.
But that was a gorgeous dress. I still think about that dress sometimes.
It was amazing. And I think they went into the theme. I think this is the one time Kim has used herself as a reference well.
Yeah, because her body is camp.
Yeah, that's literally what they talked about was like, her body is the most camp thing you can ever do. Let's make it even crazier. Let's go campier. Let's have her body be like the absolute performance, which is kind of a thing in like drag and, any form of like camp performance is like takes on your like body and whatever. Anyways, I think Kim was a really great look that year.
I mean, she's giving body is like a thing that people say.
It was just like, and then it was done well.
good.
The hair, the makeup, the nails,
It worked.
the skin, like everything worked really well. And I think it was a great reference. That picture. Girl.
What do you think of her look for this year? I feel like, didn't you change your mind about it? Overall, I don't like it.
I have like
it's up to
back and forth where, so she wore Galliano.
Yeah, of course.
I just have this constant back and forth where I'm like, I get her performance on the carpet. I understand the reference. I am even fine with like the attempt, but just the final execution. And it also is annoying because in pictures, it looks much better than it did watching the live stream.
Yeah.
I don't know how she does it, but the pictures, she ate.
Yeah.
Like, even and the whole time she was tugging at it.
Awful.
It looked like she was like
Cold.
It was kind of the point, yes,
Yes.
but it looked like she was just struggling. And I know she was because when I watched like her like get ready thing, and she was wearing these like crazy heels that she was basically having to like balance just on like her tippy toes, basically up those steps. So I'm like, I'm sure that was stressful to wear and hard to wear, and she had a lot going on.
It looks like a burp cloth with sleeves.
Kim's look.
That sweater.
It looks like
The
that very
Target.
specific kind of like Target, like the yeah.
Yeah.
The materials just didn't work.
Yeah.
Also, they did nothing with her hair. Like that.
No, the
hair
hair
was,
always
like,
bother me.
The hair, it was the color.
tiny braid.
The color of the hair didn't work. I wish they would have done like a brown or something. They were talking about, we
yeah.
want it to be a little bit messy and like slept in because.
But that beachy
Girl.
waves look, she does that every year.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we've seen this look, but I mean the braid, the like mostly undone braid, I'm like, that was cute, but like it wasn't done enough.
We could hardly see it.
Yeah, it, like from the front, it looked like her hair was normal, and they
If
were like,
she
we
had
want it to be a little
like
bit.
an actual braid. That would have looked better
Well,
too.
yeah, I think if they would have done something, if her hair was a different color, that damn platinum blonde, I'm so
Yeah.
over it. We've seen it
It's giving
1,000,000
2016.
times. Yeah, like her natural hair color or something fun would have been different. And the makeup didn't sell it at all. The makeup
don't
is
remember
just
what her makeup was.
Her makeup looks like her daily makeup.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
she looks like, okay, well that's Kim K. It's like this could have been good, and I think the dress could have been really great. Also, the thing that annoyed me, and back to Margiela Galliano, is that it's a reference to old Galliano. It's a reference
Yeah.
to Dior, like 97. And I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of... It's like I'm fine with Kim K doing this thing. You know, I don't think it was executed super well, but it's fine. I think that the sweater thing, they could have done a different sweater and executed it in the same way where the pictures look the same, where she could have done the same kind of idea and just had a different thing, like a shawl, like a velvet shawl or something that matched the look. But the sweater just looked so mismatched. It was weird.
It was weird.
And like there was just nothing else to sell the look. But even hearing her talk about it, like in her Get Ready With Me thing, she's saying, you know, we want it to be like you're in this garden and you're cold, you like have to run out and you like take your boyfriend's sweater or whatever. Blah blah blah. I don't care. But I understand that there was more of like she actually had some kind of like intention behind it, so I'm cool with that.
What do you think about it?
The Kim K dress? No, I kind of completely agree with Garrett. They didn't transform her, and if you if you're going to transform any celebrity, it has to be at the Met Gala, so that was unfortunate. And you just know that it was her decision to keep her the same way in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Like for camp, that made sense. Like I hope they transform her. I have a theory that she's afraid of getting hate if she transforms too much. Because there was that one time she wore like that flame dress and and people attacked her for wearing that like a flame dress. Anyway, it was a really ugly flame dress.
What?
After her and Kanye separated, like one of the first looks she wore was like this ugly flame dress. So everybody was like, oh my God, she has bad style. And now I think she's really careful about how she presents herself.
Oh.
No,
I've never seen
and
this.
Actually, her defense for the look was actually people don't know that Kanye chose this dress, but then now people are saying, oh, like he was probably sabotaging her because she doesn't know how to dress herself. Anyway.
That literally is like superhero costume right there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Guy Fieri! Oh my God.
Thank you for tuning back into the GFG podcast. Fumi here. Jem and I sort of edited this podcast episode, and it was a pretty long one. So let us know what you think. This is just a short preview of the next episode.
There's been like some speculation about how the industry is really trying to push her as the next fashion girl. And some people are saying that like she doesn't have a style of her own. Can she be a fashion it girl?
No shade to her. Love her. But no. She is too beautiful.
What?
Tune in for the next episode. Thank you for joining us. If you're listening on YouTube, give us a like, hit subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify, please give us 5 stars. And yeah, see you in the next episode. Bye.